You think your 3 p.m. crash is from the coffee wearing off or not enough sleep. You're wrong. It's actually something in this room that you cannot smell, and it's cutting your cognitive performance by over 60%. You know the 3 p.m. crash, the fog that rolls in after lunch, the sentence you read twice, the meeting where you're nodding but not really there. Most people explain it the same way. Bad sleep, too much lunch, not enough caffeine. It feels logical, except it doesn't hold up. People get the same crash on days they slept 8 hours, on days they skipped lunch entirely, on days they doubled their coffee. The thing that doesn't change is the room, and the room is the one variable almost nobody checks. Here's the mechanism. A closed office with the door shut and the window down doesn't just trap heat, it traps you. Specifically, everything you breathe out. Carbon dioxide, moisture, and a cocktail of compounds your body releases just by existing in a space. Outdoors, all of that disperses instantly. Indoors, with no exchange, it just sits there, layer on layer, for as long as you do. Think of it less like a gas leak and more like a bath that's never drained. You don't notice the water level rising because you're in it the whole time. And here's what makes this genuinely sneaky. You have no sensor for it. You feel temperature, you feel noise, you feel hunger. You do not feel the air around you slowly turning over on itself. There's no internal alarm that fires and tells you the room has changed. Now, I want to be precise here, because this is exactly the kind of claim that gets oversold. You've probably seen videos claiming that CO2 alone, at the levels your home office reaches, tanks your brain function by some dramatic percentage. The honest picture is messier than that. Some of the larger, more recent controlled trials, testing pure CO2 in isolation, even up to levels far higher than any office reaches, found no consistent cognitive decline at all. Pure CO2 by itself, it turns out, is not the smoking gun. But here's what actually does hold up. When researchers compare real working environments, ones with poor airflow, where CO2 and human bioeffluents and recycled air all build up together, against ones with strong ventilation, the cognitive gap is large and consistent. In one widely cited comparison of office environments, workers in well-ventilated spaces scored over 60% higher on tests of strategic thinking, information use, and crisis response than workers in conventional, poorly ventilated ones. So the villain isn't a single molecule, it's the stagnant air, the whole stale mixture that builds up the moment a room stops exchanging with the outside world. And the fix for stagnant air has always been the same fix: move the air. Here's how this plays out across a real day. You sit down at your desk at 9, door closed, window down, maybe it's cold outside, maybe you just forgot. For the first 20 or 30 minutes, nothing's different. The air is still close to outdoor quality. But the room isn't exchanging air, and it won't until something forces it to. An hour in, the composition of the air has shifted. More of what you've been breathing out, less of what you started with. 2 hours in, you're sitting in a noticeably more stagnant environment than the one you walked into, and nothing around you signals that. This is the part that should bother you. The decline isn't dramatic. Nobody falls asleep at their desk. Nobody gets a headache on cue. What happens instead is smaller. A little more hesitation before you hit send on that email. A little more rereading before a decision feels solid. The gap between your best thinking and your average thinking gets narrower, not because you got worse at your job, but because the room got worse around you. And the part that should actually make you feel better, it's completely reversible in real time. Open that window, let the room exchange with the outside for a few minutes, and the air resets. You're not managing a chronic condition, you're managing a dial that's been quietly turned up by a closed door, and you can turn it back down in under a minute. Here's why almost nobody connects these dots. Modern homes and offices are built to be sealed. Better insulation, tighter weatherproofing, less passive airflow, all of it good for your heating bill. All of it meaning that once a room stops exchanging air, it stays that way until someone intervenes. That trend isn't reversing. Buildings keep getting tighter, not looser. which means the home office that was already accumulating stale air in 2020 accumulates it faster now and will be worse again in 5 years, while the person sitting in it keeps blaming the fog on stress, on getting older, on just being a tired kind of day, and never once on the door that's been shut since 9 in the morning. The fix costs nothing. It takes 60 seconds. It requires no app, no tracker, no new morning routine. You don't need a better morning routine. You don't need more discipline. You need to open a window every 60 to 90 minutes, or step out of the room for a couple of minutes if you can't. That's the entire intervention, not because the air is poisoning you, because the air you're sitting in stops being the air that helps you think, and almost no one ever lets it go. What's your drain this week?